car search is getting really, really, really hard.
For what? For the daily?
Well, not for daily. The daily, whatever. I don't even care about the daily. But like, the problem is right now, you know how car prices are dropping.
Yeah.
Okay. So I can't help myself because I'm watching all these people that basically have left their price super high on some of these cars for a long time. And now they're like, oh, but they don't sell for like more than this. So they're like slowly bringing their cars down. And like now some cars are coming down by 5, 10, 15, 20 grand. And I'm like, oh my God, like.
Now I want to jump on it.
Yeah. And the problem is that I start looking at these cars and like I can't help myself because now I randomly am starting to see deals on a whole bunch of things. I don't know where like to draw the line. How do I get one?
So that's probably always the toughest part is finding it.
I know. It's like so, and then I got to thinking like some of these cars, like when you see the trim packages that are up there, you know what's funny to me? It's like some of the trim packages you'll see, and let's say the car, you know, a good example would be an STI,
Okay.
right? So that's an example to me where I feel like I got a little mic droop going on. What do you think? A little mic droop? Anyhow. But that's an example to me like where you take an STI versus a WRX, right? You can get into a WRX way more cost efficiently than an STI.
Yeah, but like think about it this way: how much cost efficient can you really get between? Like, let's think. What year STI are we talking about? Is it 2016?
Well, all right. But I guess I probably should finish my thought before we dive into it. But my thought process here is, you know, can you essentially build, you know, a better like for the difference of price? Let's say it ends up being, you know, $12,000, $13,000 MSRP difference, and we're working with MSRP because you can't go by markups in these stupid idiots.
Totally.
By the way, shout out to all the dealers out there. Get rid of your markups, selfish idiots.
They really are. It's getting a little ridiculous on those markups. But you want to know something? It's hurting them as well because there's people that are like, I'm
willing
not
to buy, but I'm not going to pay over MSRP.
Exactly.
Do you know how many times? Like I'm in this new, you know, the new Lexus GX 550.
Yep.
So I'm in the group, one of these big Facebook groups, and surprisingly, the group is getting really big. And a lot of people talking about when they receive the cars, the first things, the whole thing. And I really like that truck. I think it's good looking.
They did a good job with that.
But they're, I guess, plagued with issues right now.
Of course.
Okay, first year, right?
It's always the first gens.
So what ends up happening is, like, these people, there's so many people in there that are like, oh, you know, it's ridiculous. Like, I went to my thing, like, I'm not going to spend $5,000 in a markup. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do that. The car's already as expensive. You know, truck is already more expensive than it should be. You know, or you know what they're saying.
Yeah.
So there's this one dealer in there killing the scene because what he's doing is he's basically saying, hey, I got these trucks coming. Here's the MSRP. Here's what we'll sell them for. Let me know if you want one.
Just jumping in.
And it's like sold.
That's it. All you need is that one dealership to be cool with and to work with you on.
Yeah.
it.
Meanwhile, these idiots out there. Anyhow, so the whole point that gets me here is that we're working with MSRPs, right? You go back to this whole thing. Let's talk about a WRX versus an STI, okay? Now let's go down the pike a little bit and go, I don't know, like into the 15 to 17 gen.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know if that's the gen, but you know what I mean?
I know
in that age bracket. So, like, you could have bought that car. Let's say you could bought an STI for, let's say, $36,000, $37,000 ish.
Yeah.
MSRP.
Yeah, I agree.
Right. And you could probably get a WRX back then for about $24,000 to $26,000, depending on what the options were.
Yep.
Okay.
I agree.
I say that because my brother had a WRX in 17.
Okay.
And when he bought that car, or when he got that car, he paid about 20. He got some good incentives, like $24,800 for the WRX.
All right, that's actually not bad. That's a solid price.
Yeah, back then it was. I think it's fine. So you get this car, and now you're looking at the two different cars, right? And so like a WRX comes with about 270 horsepower, is what they say,
roughly. Yeah.
And an STI clearly comes with, I think, like just north of 300 horsepower.
Yeah, I think it's about 305, 310, somewhere around there.
So max through the specs up anyway.
Oh, perfect.
So all right, so yeah, I mean we're right there, 268 versus 305. And then you start looking at the MSRP, and you're like, all right, well, there's like what? I guess on this example, let's just say there's $10,000 difference because I want to make sure that we're we're having the right conversation, okay? Plus, I also remember a lot of the STIs, you really weren't getting those cars for under 38. But
No.
that's my own memory. So, but let's say $10,000, $12,000 is the difference. The question is, can you take a WRX off the lot and build something that's, I don't want to say better than an STI because they're not the same car.
Yeah.
But can you build something for that same 10 grand that maybe would exceed the taste or the handling or the power? Can you make as good of a car as an STI is
with the difference
difference in price between the two cars?
I think you can, but you're always going to have, for me personally, it's always going to be that if you have an STI, you're never going to say, oh, I wish I got the WRX.
Okay.
But if you have your WRX, you're always going to be like, I wish I got the STI. I wish I just paid that little bit more to get it.
Well,
for the extra, it all comes down, of course, with certain cars. Like for this example, personally, I think I would have just jumped on the STI bandwagon.
But you would agree that a $30 on back in the day, I used to use always that $30 per 1,000.
Yeah,
right?
$30 a month.
So if you
extra,
had, right,
yeah.
so if you had $12,000 more of a car, right? I mean, think about how much more you're paying. Your payment's hundreds of dollars more per month. So I guess what I'm saying is, like, in theory, if you can't afford the payment of an STI or there's not a lot of allocation there, could you potentially be in a situation where you could get your WRX and put that money into it and end up having a just as good of a car as you would have gotten off the lot with
an STI? Yeah, I agree with that 100%.
That's where I'm stuck with a lot of the car purchases that I'm looking at right now. I just feel like there's a big difference between, some of these cars when you want to go and you want to get, let's say, a BMW 440 versus a BMW M4.
That's a big price jump, though.
But that's what I mean.
But that's like the massive price jump where like a 440.
Same thing with the back in the day, you think about when they had the 335s and then the M3s.
And the 335, you could push a lot more power out of it than an M3.
Well, I don't whether you could or you couldn't is maybe slightly beyond the scope of kind of what I'm thinking, but like what I'm thinking is out of the box.
Out of the box price difference, yeah,
massive. And so you start thinking about, let's say a 335 back.
What was that? The
2012-ish.
E92 era?
Yeah, okay.
E92,
even
E90.
right at, yeah, okay. So like you get into that area and it's like, all right, I can buy this car, let's say for, I don't know, 45 grand, 50 grand.
Oh, perfect.
Max, cut with the quick fingers.
Quick fingers, love it.
So yeah, so like 2012, 35, you can get it for, let's say, 43 grand. And then the M3 on paper is 65, right? So the question is now, for $22,000 more, can you take that 335 and make just as good of a car as an M3?
I think you can. 100% you can. But again, you fall into that.
Listen, we have to tune out the obvious.
Of course.
Because there is no doubt, and I think the best example I could think of is an R35, but there is no doubt that there is a heritage and legacy thing that you will not get unless you buy the M3.
Of course.
Unless you buy the STI.
Yeah.
That's not the conversation we're having.
No.
Because that conversation is the reason that they can charge that much more. Plus, listen, I'm not going to say this. The M3 is not the same car as a 335.
No, nowhere near it.
Never was.
Never will be.
The car is completely, totally different. Everything from the body to, seats, to suspension, to, a lot of the accessory pieces and different things that make that car cool, to aero, to brakes, the whole thing. There's always going to be some differences, and I'm not talking about that. I guess I'm talking about, like, if you're going to be buying a car for the car, can you take some of this extra money between what they would cost new and buy a lesser model, and then put that money in from an aftermarket sense and make a better or equal car?
With those twin turbo V6s, you were able to push out a lot of power, which a lot more than I would say your M3.
Okay, it's fair.
Fair, right out of the box.
100%.
So it's there. You can definitely build a better car than you're coming from your E92 M3.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's
so
just,
let's do this. Here's my conversation, because this ties into what I was looking at. Right.
Okay.
I'm gonna go through a few cars.
Okay.
Okay. I wrote a few down.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go through a few cars, and I'm gonna basically tell you the car. Then I'm gonna tell you the MSRP, and I want you to decide
if I'm gonna go with
using this thought process.
Okay. All right. I
want
like
you
how
to
this
pick
is going.
the car that you feel would best. Like no, I would always go with this car. This is the car I would do. Okay.
Okay.
You
All
ready?
right. Let's go.
I
Let's
got
do
some
this
for you. Let's do a brand new Infiniti Q50S or an Infiniti Q50S Red Sport. Do you know much about the cars, or if not, I'll fill you in.
I know enough about them.
Okay.
They're both going to be your twin turbo V6. So personally, for me, what's that MSRP difference there, Max? You have that?
It's about 12 grand.
About 12 grand. It's the same car essentially. It really just needs a tune, and you're going to be up to almost that 400 horsepower. So why not save the 20 grand there, or the
12 grand?
12 grand there.
All right. So in this sense, you say I take the Infiniti Q50S.
I take the Q50S.
I agree with you. I take the Q50S.
I think it's just it's too spot on. It's the same motor. It's really just a tune that's going to give you that 400.
So between the Infiniti Q50 Red Sport and again, I'm not an expert in all these things, but you know, I like the Nissan Infiniti stuff. So like the Red Sport, I don't believe they have a different caliper. They're really just using a taller rotor so that they can dissipate heat a little bit better. I think it has some better suspension. I know for a fact that what they did was they increased the turbo efficiency on the Q50 on the Red Sport, and then in addition to that, they also went with something which I'm surprised they don't do with on both cars, which is more of an air to water intercooler type setup to be able to try to heat exchanger to be able to take away some of that heat, which allows them to then put a little bit more boost into the car when you put all that stuff together. So to me, I think absolutely 100%. There's really no
there's no benefit.
Prestige to the Red Sport.
Yeah, there's no benefit to really having it.
So at that point, I take the base car, and I think I'm going to make it way faster under that price tag and still have a pretty cool, competent car.
Yeah, and still have some money left over probably.
Probably. Too. I think that's probably the case. Let's kick one back for you.
Oh, okay. All right.
Because I
already know where this one's going.
Yeah, I like to keep it in your realm sometimes. How about GTI versus a Golf R?
See, this is such a tough one, especially because I own the GTI. You can get as much power, if not more, out of the GTI, but your biggest issue there is your front-wheel drive versus all-wheel drive.
Absolutely.
Unless you plan on never launching the GTI when you have full power, because you're just going to sit there getting wheel spin for days.
Right.
Yeah, you can go GTI and build that up, but it's really what's the price?
15 grand.
15 grand. Personally, I think I would go with a Golf R, and that's coming from somebody who has a GTI and who has put money into it.
Yep.
The wheel spin is absurd. Once you get up to that crazy power number, it's just too much. I think you need the all-wheel drive.
I agree with you. I don't think that these cars are remotely the same.
No.
They're not.
Don't get me wrong. You could get a lot of power out of that GTI and have a lot of fun with it, but personally, I should have gotten a Golf R just like.
Well, they're not the same, and I look. Here's the thing: they're not even the same engine. I know people are gonna say that they're all the E.
It's really your KO3 versus your KO4 turbo, yes, but it's also your TFSI versus your 2.0 TSI. So the TFSI is a lot better.
Because the Golf R has lower compression pistons to allow it to run more boost.
Exactly.
I think they use different valves. They're using a different, metal composition that's within the cylinder head and stuff like that. So they're doing some other things. Plus, obviously, probably injectors, high pressure pumps.
Of course, all that.
So to me, the two are not the same. I think that you could throw $15,000 at a regular Golf, a regular GTI, and you still wouldn't get a Golf R.
No.
You just can't.
Like again, you numbers wise, pushing on the paper, like
you never get it.
You might look like you're gonna be beating it, but I'm sorry,
I don't think so.
It's
because
not.
I think like you said, I think that the major if both cars were all-wheel drive, I think we'd have a better argument.
Of course, it'd be going for an GTI
so
if it was all-wheel drive.
You can't do it. How about this one? Here's one. This is one that plagues me a little bit. Maybe not in real life because this is beyond my financial accoutrement. Okay, Nismo R35 GTR, or let's say just a regular, black edition.
I'd probably just go for your regular black edition. I feel like the Nismo.
You know what the MSRP difference is?
What is it, about 20 or 100K?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that was way more than 20. I'm sorry. What am I saying? That's about 100K difference for pretty much the same car.
Now, here's where things get really rough. If you have the money, let's go down to this road. If you have the money, but you just want one of these cars, what do you do?
If I had the money.
You have the money. Not that you have so much that you can't, whatever. But if you're in a position where you could spend $120,000 on a car, or $220,000 on a car. Now, the $220,000 still does take $100,000 more from you, but you're not destitute. You'll have it. You don't want to spend it if you don't have to, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
I'm still going with just the GTR,
the base one.
Yeah.
I get super tripped up by the other piece of this because I believe from a power perspective. Samesies. Like you can make that in a blink of an eye. I think the problem is that this is where some of these actual badges and little accessory pieces and heritage and VIN stuff become a piece of the puzzle 20 years from now. Now, you should never buy a car based off of that, but if you're going to spend this kind of money, it's like kind of difficult because like there is a big difference between maybe what a Nismo will go for down the road, just do the
versus just your
but I also agree with you. I mean, from a performance aspect,
for $100,000 difference, it's not worth it in my opinion. But again, if you're balling like that and you want to have that Nismo badge,
from a car perspective, I agree with you. I think at this point, I mean, I want the Nismo.
Probably for $15,000, you could probably push way over that.
No, and I'll tell you, like I still have this thing for that T-Spec. They have a T-Spec version, especially in like that Millennium Jade.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you love that Millennium Jade. You're a big fan of that one.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I like the Midnight Purple, but everybody's obsessed about it for so many years. That Millennium Jade, especially what they did with the stitching and everything on the car, it's really gorgeous. What a great looking car. Anyhow, I don't know.
I hope to see you in one of those one day.
Me too. I'm glad that we share the same goals. I would like also help me see one of those days. Let's try this. This one to me is an easy one. How about the Nissan Z, the new Z, right? Okay. You can get the Z or you can get the Nismo Z.
I think I'm just gonna go base Z on that one.
So that we're not looking at the 8 car. We're looking at the older car.
It's still 306 horsepower. Really not that much difference besides
no, it's not. You're looking at Max put up the wrong info. Don't look at the screen. That's the old car. I'm talking about the new Z.
The new Z, yeah.
So you're talking about a car that's hold on a second. Okay, cool. All right, so when let's talk about the Nismo Z.
Okay. Talking the brand new
Nismo Z. I put this down just in case. So their MSRP is about $66,000. The base Z is $43,000. So about $23,000 difference. Okay. Both have the same engine. One is a tune on it. One makes 400 horsepower. The other makes 420.
It's not even that much of a difference, but you're still gonna get your forged wheels on there. You're still gonna get the Akibono brakes, aero package, which again, that's probably you could probably build something for less than the $20,000 difference.
Which car do you take? You got stuff, right? You got the Recaro seats. And here's the thing: when we start talking about some of the Nismo parts, it's not that you can't buy them after the fact, but they are all bloody expensive.
Of course,
right?
And if you're just better off getting the Nismo package out the gate versus then going and buying all the Nismo pieces.
Correct. So you will be able to take some of your $23,000 savings on the Z side. Obviously, we can never get either one of these cars MSRP.
Well, you're never going to. Yeah.
They do what we call. But with that said, when we start talking about these two cars, I can absolutely take that $42,000 car
all day
and make for way less money, put in the same types of things that are in the Nismo version, and make the car even faster than the Nismo came. And I can do that without spending $23,000.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree.
I take the base.
I take the base.
To me, the Nismo thing is cool. It's a nice novelty, but it's not worth. It may not be worth as much money out of the gate if you don't like just have it.
Yeah, and I also feel that it's just like a collectible item at that rate when you get your Nismo package. You're not modifying it. You're trying to keep it as mint as possible.
I guess.
Yeah,
I don't know about that though.
For certain people, yes.
All right, but like with a Z, I don't know that I feel that as much as like a GTR, right?
Okay.
But like at the end of the day,
that.
I mean, the Nismo is. I do think that on the track and as far as I think that they are a night and day difference. But what I do know is that at least to this point, the Nismo car does not come with a manual option.
Only the base Z does.
Right.
Yeah.
So to me, I take the base car and I make it into something better.
Yeah, I agree with you there.
Yeah. All right. So I save on that one. Let's go back to Euroland.
Dun, dun, dun,
right.
Dun, dun,
let's do this. Let's do. This is not even comparable. This is not even fair. An S3 versus an RS3.
That's a tough one. What is the difference on that? Like $15K?
Yeah, something like that.
The amount of money you're going to spend, especially the interior wise on your RS3, is just so much better. You get your bigger brakes, which are a pain to put wheels on. But yeah, I'm going to go RS3 on that one.
Me too. 100%. Not the same car.
No.
Not the same car.
But that goes into your... like M3 versus 440 or 340, whatever you want to call it nowadays with BMW and the numbers. But either way, yeah, you can get a lot of power out of that S3, and I've seen people get a lot of power out of the S3.
100%.
But
they're not the same engines.
Exactly.
You're not dealing with the same car.
That inline 6 is you can't go wrong. That 2.5 Daza is where you want to be at.
And not only that, but look, you get a better car for the RS3.
Mm-hmm.
You also get all the cool pieces for the RS3. And in addition to that, you get the badge.
Badge.
But you get the badge that gives you all the quote-unquote clout and collector, if you want to keep it in that trim.
100%.
So I don't think that there's enough of a price difference that doesn't make me want to.
No, for that extra 12 to 15 grand, I'm going to go your RS3.
And
but again, this
sick.
comes into that other, who's getting MSRP anymore?
Nobody.
Nobody.
But we have to use something to play this game.
100%. But yeah, no, the stitching on it, honestly, Audi with the RSs in general, I just feel has some of the nicest interiors out there.
So now I'm going to go into another one here. This is another WRX STI examples. But here's my problem with the WRX STI example. Again, this MSRP thing, it's a little junky.
It's getting ridiculous.
Let's compare the new car. And so on one end, you have the EJ25. I don't know why I always say G when I mean J. EJ25. And on the other hand, you have the FA motor, right?
Yeah.
So not the same, but one's got a respectable 270 horsepower. The other one's got 310. They crimped it up a little bit on the STI side. So I guess the question is, you got a $10,000 MSRP difference, which by the way you won't get. So so let's go to 15. Let's say there's a $15,000 difference between the two cars, wherever they are. It doesn't matter. They don't have to be at this MSRP. Let's say there's a $15,000 difference between the two cars. So you have a 2.4 liter to a 2.5 liter, which is different compared to the old car, which had a 2 liter because it was the EJ20 versus the 25, right? The EJ25. And so you have these two different cars. Both of them are 6-speed. Well, you can get both of them in 6-speed, obviously.
Well, nobody wants that CVT transmission.
Really don't.
No.
I don't know.
I really, to be honest, they need to junk that transmission, period.
Right. Both all-wheel drive. Obviously, big brakes, cool stuff on the STI version of the car. But let's say it's $15,000 difference. Which car are we taking?
Doom. Again, this
This
goes
one
into
gets closer to me.
This one, I probably would say let's go with the STI just because of that 2.5 boxer flat four.
But you got a 2.4 liter on that FA.
Hey, you're not wrong. This one is a tough one. You could get that same power within seconds on a tune on that. I'm going to change that. I'd go with the WRX over.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I don't think they're the same car. That's the problem I have with half of these, right?
Yeah,
but
they're never the same, but you always get your budget bills.
Absolutely. But the truth of the matter is, I think I still spend the money and get the WRX. I think by the time you get done with brake options, and I did know like some of the WRXs were, you think you could add Brembos in and stuff like that.
I think they have the new TR model, which comes with your 6-piston brake on there now.
But like I still think that the STI is for let's say $15,000 difference. I still think it's it comes with enough stuff differently that you're going to be right neck and neck, and if I'm going to be neck and neck, I might as well have the STI as well.
Again, it goes into that if you buy an STI, you're never going to sit there and say, "Oh, I wish I bought the WRX."
Right.
So I agree with you there, but I think I'd probably still take the WRX and probably build it a little bit.
Yeah, there's some cars I think that make it easy. Like if you're not obsessed with like a Nismo badge, and if you go back to like my vintage 350Z, then I think you could easily make a case that you just buy the base car.
Yeah, of course.
Now, because also let's go back to the kind of the Z33 Nissan Z's, right? Like my year, right?
Yeah.
So when you go back there, the one thing that happens is you have the ability to get a track package, which has the Brembos, which has better suspension from the factory, which has, everything power-wise, same 300 horsepower, that came on the Nismo version, right? Nismo came with, and I think the Z33 Nismo edition may be the most watered-down Nismo car that I can think of. Because it's like, that might be a hard, bold statement to make, but like, I still like it was seats, it was stitching, it was a little badge, it was like,
but it was also
the bumpers.
I was gonna say front bumper, side skirts, rear bumper, and you also had the spoiler.
Did you even like that rear bumper?
I wasn't crazy about
it's
the
growing
front
though,
bumper.
isn't it? So I love the front bumper.
I don't know.
The rear bumper I struggle with. Anyhow, bottom line is, these to me are virtually the same damn car, and they have some different things. And honestly, this one I struggle with because if you get the track package, there was a few things I think that didn't come, on the track package that came on the Nismo. But like, if you didn't really care for that, really aggressive shelf that they put on the rear of the car, then I don't think it matters. I love the front bumper. The rear bumper to me kills me a little bit. It grows on me now because I think it's becoming old enough where I'm like, that's kind of dope. It was aggressive, but but it just feels like they just bolted on cardboard boxes. You ever see those cars?
Yeah, where it's just
people make fun of like they tape on, and that's always been a little thing for me. But these cars to me were may not have been worth the $12,000-$15,000. I mean, it kind of looks good there now that you see it. But it doesn't it feel like a shelf?
I don't hate it. It's not a hate. It looks like a little step right there where you can just...
I like my car better. It's hard, too, because I like the Nismo tags. Like, they still have some stuff on them.
I do like the spoiler that's on the Nismo. I do like that. That would probably be a nice little add-on yours if you did, but...
I don't like that spoiler.
You're not a fan of it?
No.
Okay.
Not for me. It got a lot of stuff going on there.
I don't hate it. I actually like that. I think it's a nice one. But the rear bumper, that looks like you got a step over there. It's like you're about to.
Yeah.
It looks like a little curb.
So before we wrap this thing up, this just kind of was one of those things where I couldn't help but feel like I was going back and forth between, when I'm looking at cars, going back and forth between the two, and just like, can I make it like this? Can I save the money here? Can I do the money here? So like I was like, let me write a bunch of these down. But here's my question. My question is that what does it take for a car to be another package that's worth, that 20 grand more for you to say, I have to get that. I have to spend the money. It's not the same car. Like what's the categories? What's the things that are on those cars that you say no, that's.
It's definitely going to have to be more power and probably interior.
See, but to me, I think it gets even more specific than that, because I think that you have to go with something that's like it has a more powerful engine, a more desirable engine, right?
Yeah.
Something that I can make even more power with than the base engine that comes with this car.
Yeah.
And does it have cool pieces? Does it have the seats and the brakes and all the cool stuff? Because I think that there's a big piece of that when you start to buy those like little bits at a time. And don't get me wrong, you can buy aftermarket seats, buy aftermarket brake kit, but like when you want to have that stuff, I think it becomes tough. And that's another kind of tip in their hat, right?
I will say one thing.
Yeah.
Wheels is probably the one thing that I don't care about. Whenever they're like,
you.
oh, they put forged wheels. Like, all right, great. I want to swap the wheels now. Yep. I don't want to be like every other car that's out there. Like when you go and see all of these new G80s, like, yeah, they got the forged wheels. And when you all see them parked next to each other, it's like, all right, who's going to swap it out a little bit? Who's going to spice it up? Personally, for me, whenever I see like, oh, it came with forged wheels, like I really don't care about that because I'm going to swap out the wheels anyway.
There are very few wheels that I look at that have the right fitment and the right look that I'm like, I would have kept those.
Yeah, right? it's
some of the Nissan product does have them.
Yeah, I'll give you that, but either way, like you know me, I like my aggressive fitment, and a lot of these cars are going to come with more on your conservative aspect.
Yeah,
when it comes to that,
I like the new Nismo wheels that come on the Z. Ray's makes them, so they're a lightweight forged wheel, but good looking 10-spoke design. I mean, really nice looking.
But again, you're gonna get it. You're gonna be like, I need to change it out a little bit. So like those wheels become dust collectors in the garage.
Maybe.
Unless you go and sell them, but that's a different story.
No, I know. Yeah, no, I agree. Wheels to me
are probably the one thing that I really don't care about. Like, oh, it came with a 19-inch wheel, which is blah, blah. It doesn't matter to me.
I'll tell you another thing that would make a car to me in that next category that I would have to buy. Whenever they do the body changes. Wide body kits, things that are part of the quarter where you couldn't, what are you going to do? Put a plastic fender flare on?
That's where your 440 versus M4 come in.
100%.
Because the hips on an M4 are actually really nice. I do love the way that those rear fenders fit.
Yeah, no, like, and so that to me, like, those are things. So to me, when you start putting things on the other car that you can't get, again, GTI versus the Golf R is a perfect example. When you put that all-wheel drive system in, now all of a sudden you're like, I don't know.
Now it changes things.
I can't make the same car. So I think like a lot of these manufacturers need to take a tip and like really think about this stuff, because when you start making like to me the Red Sport it's not worth that
extra bit.
Yeah, they could have done a few more things to that car and like really made a difference. I mean, even the Integra to the Type S,
But that also, you get the wider fenders on that Type S too.
Though.
Yeah, like so that was a big jump
on the Type S. It's like if you have to pick a base Integra versus a Type S, there's no competition.
Yeah, there's no competition. There's Type S all the way.
Because the Type S not only has the better whatever.
That car has grown on me so much, and I saw one just this past weekend, and actually really it stopped. They did a great job with that.
What kills that car for me?
What?
Interior.
I haven't really looked much into the interior. Personally, I think what kills it for me is the 3-center exhaust.
Oh, that's easily.
Yeah, I know, but that's probably the one thing that I'm just like, I don't care for that.
I wish they would have made that car all-wheel drive.
That too.
But let's take that aside, because that's a whole other fanboy argument we can have another day.
That'll be another podcast.
Yeah, what I'm talking about is like I got in one to look at it. The interior feels like somebody basically took a base car and put like cat skin leather seats and stuff. Looks good. Clean, presentable, good fitting, nice, all that stuff, but it doesn't have any like unique like embroidery on the seats that you would expect. Like like the Civic Type R, I believe, says Type R.
Yeah, it says Type R on it.
And Type S has nothing.
That's kind of basic.
I mean, at least the one I saw. I don't know if anybody else got. They got a couple little badges and they put a bunch of little things here, but like you still get in and you kind of feel like, all right, and I think that, listen, red interior, different things like that. That's very cool, but like.
To be honest, I hate that it's only a red interior option on that.
Is that right?
I really am not.
Wait, don't be wrong. Are you sure there's only red interior?
I'm pretty sure there's only a red interior option on that Type S.
Yeah, they were good. Listen,
unless something changed that I don't know about, and somebody's probably gonna flame me in the comments.
Yeah.
But
look, where they went right, was by doing the body modifications.
100%.
Because
the body changes the
entire car. and they have a different engine, so I'll give them that. Like, you're not gonna, there's no comparison to an L series versus versus the Type R. So there's that. But I don't know. So I'm glad I got to bring you into my world of pain.
Because that 3 exhaust, it kills me in the rear.
I don't mind.
I would have rather seeing 2 duals.
They should have put
quad exhaust on there.
They could have made like an Olympic edition and put 2 ones under it. That would have been sick.
And just there's the swooshes, the connection.
Yeah, pretty much. All right, that's it. We're out of here. We'll catch you next one. Let us know what you think down below. Which cars do you agree with us that you would have taken, and bought right from the factory? Said, hey, this is not the same car. Which are there other ones that you would have kind of thrown in this list? And in addition to that, kind of where do you see yourself on some of the cars that we said that we would take the base car and
love
put the
to
money
hear
into
everybody's opinion.
Yeah, let us know. Anyhow, catch you next week.
Peace.